Let's hope I got a thumbnail out of that. Hey guys, what's up? It's Taylor, and I am back today with my 2018 wrap-up of all the books that I read. And it's a short list because I was in grad school, and I'm going to keep using that excuse. So let's just dive right into it. Alright, like I said, I didn't read a lot of books this year, and that's because I was forcibly having to read books for school. Now that I'm done with school, I'm expecting my 2019 to be a lot more book-filled, reading-filled, writing-filled, things like that. So hopefully my wrap-up for next year will have a little bit more content, but I'm just going to go in chronological order today of what books that I read, which is very easy to track with my good old Goodreads. The first book slash series that I read in 2018 was actually the Black Dagger Brotherhood by J.R. Ward. I was recommended this because of my love of the Fever series by Karen Marie Moning. I read them ebook, so I'll just put the covers here. I read first Dark Lover. The titles are so cheesy, but the books were actually good. The second book is Lover Eternal, and the third book that I read in the series is Lover Awakened. I stopped after the third book because the third book really got into one of the brothers in the Brotherhood and his storyline that I really cared about, and I thought and I anticipated. And so after I read about his storyline, I kind of didn't care to go on, but I've started to reread here in 2019, so the rest of the series will be in my 2019 wrap-up. Without giving any spoilers, because I've not done a review on any of these books, I'm going to reread and do reviews of those here pretty soon. But the series follows a brotherhood, a group of vampires, but they're not the kind of vampires that you think of like in Twilight, things like that. Because I know, as most of you probably as I am, very tired of reading about vampires at this point, but they are a little bit different. They do remind me of the males that are written in Karen Marie Moning's Fever series. And so if you like kind of the male characters in that series, you might like this one. And so it just follows them and their mission and their love life a lot, because to my understanding, this series is considered a paranormal romance. It is not a fantasy. So the romantic plot line is usually kind of at the forefront. And so if you're not into romance as much, you might not be into it, but if you are, then this might be just right up your alley, so I'll link all those down below. And speaking of Karen Marie Moning, the second book slash series that I continued was High Voltage by Karen Marie Moning. This book was so good, so highly anticipated, and I have done a book chat on this, and so I will link that down below if you want to know more about it. Cannot recommend it enough. The series has transferred from one main character to another. The viewpoint of the character in High Voltage is, I love her so much. It's just a total character development, and I cannot recommend it enough. Go read it. Go watch my review if you've already read it, and comment down below and things like that. Love it. Love it so much. Let's move on. My Siri just got all of that and is trying to translate.
It's all I've ever wanted for you. Taylor.
Alright, prepare yourself. I know this is controversial, so everybody sit down. It's about to get real. The third series that I read in 2018 was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. The reason that these beautiful hardcovers don't have the sleeves on them is because I borrowed them from my best friend, and if you are someone that lets people borrow your books, you know to take the sleeves off before you lend a hardcover. So this series I did not know was so controversial until I joined BookTube. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people love it, and I am one of those people. Now, I only have 2 of the 3 books here, and the reason for that is because, I don't know. I'm assuming I gave the other one back to my friend. This story supposedly was supposed to start out as like a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, which the first book, I kind of got that. Second book, we went way left. And let me tell you, this is the first series I've ever read where the second book is the best book in the series. Usually we have a kind of a fall off. If you're a Cassandra Clare fan, you know, we kind of do have a lull in those second or usually fourth books. This one was the total opposite. The male character love interest in this series is probably top 3 favorite male characters, literally speaking, of all time for me. Love it, love it, love it. High fantasy, fairies. If you're new to this channel, you might not know this. If there's fairies involved, I'm there. I'm about it. I'm trying to be all about it. That's hook, line, and sinker, you got me. This series is so good, and it's going to continue, so I'll get on to the next one. The books in the Court of Thorns and Roses series are 1, A Court of Thorns and Roses, 2, A Court of Mist and Fury, one of my favorite books of all time now, and 3, A Court of Wings and Ruin. Now, the next book that I've read is kind of a novella to my understanding, to bridge the gap between this series and the next series that she's writing that kind of have the same world or storyline, but are going to be separate. That book, that novella that I'm speaking of is... I can't remember what the name of this book is. I have to look at it. A Court of Frost and Starlight. This book was just filled with a lot of information. It wasn't the greatest, but you know when you finish a series and you're like literally just like scrounging for crumbs, like that's what this was. This was just like to tie us over, give us a little bit of information, give us a little bit of a segue. That was about it. I mean, you can see it's pretty thin. So this is another Sarah J. Maas, and so I'm just waiting for the new series to start. And to just keep the ball rolling, because as I said, I just read a whole bunch of series this year. I didn't read any standalones because what's a standalone? And the final series, not the final series, the second to final series that I read this year was Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Shook it. I know, another Sarah J. Maas. We're surprised. You can go check out all the book chats that I've done on the books that I've read so far for the Throne of Glass series. I'll link them down below. In those, you will be told that I tried to read Throne of Glass, which is the first book in the series, like years ago, wasn't into it, didn't get it. But then after I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, I was like, wait, let me give this another try, because Throne of Glass was Sarah J. Maas's debut book. And people like rave about it. My sister-in-law, my best friend, have read all the way through the series, love it, and we're like, get it, your life together pretty much. So I restarted and retried and made some progress. So I read Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, and Queen of Shadows, which is not here because I read it on ebook. I also read Empire of Storms on ebook, which I do not have here. I've started Tower of Dawn and I'm hating it so far. I really wish I could skip it. I've been told that I could, and then I've told that I couldn't, and I don't want to skip it. I just don't want to read about that book right now. So I can't really explain to you what the series is about, because Sarah just decided like 4 different times throughout the series that she was just gonna like expand the world 1,000 different times over. So for me to even begin to tell you what this is about would make absolutely no sense. But it follows a BA female character that is so awesome and so powerful. And I honestly, I'm going to be honest here, be prepared for the honesty, okay? Did not like the main character, Selena, in the like first 2 books. Now I love her. I just didn't understand what was going to happen. Cannot recommend this series enough. The reason that I've got to kind of a stopping point is She has a book that is totally told from the perspective or like plot line of one character, like a secondary character that I really don't care for. And so I'm struggling to get through it, but I will. And as soon as I do, you all will know because I'll do a book chat on it, but it's just taking me a little bit. So we have one last book. And I mean, if you have literally been following me for any amount of time whatsoever, you'll know that this was a shocker that I even did a book chat on this. And that would be, are you ready? Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. I cannot believe I did a book chat on this. I will link that down below. I will link any book chats I did on any of these books down below. Cassandra Clare is the love of my life. I say that knowing that my husband is literally in the room next to me, and I do not care. Cassandra Clare is the reason I read YA. She is the reason that I read fantasy. She is amazing and lovely. I love her characters. She is the reason that I started writing. And I thought that that would be too much for me to ever do a book chat on her books. And so I just couldn't. I also started reading her books way before I started BookTube. And so I felt like by the time I started a channel, it would be too much for me to go back because like we're 15 books into her like chronicles at this point. And so instead of feeling like I can't ever make a video, I just kind of decided, you know what? Let's just start. So I'll link not only the book chat for Queen of Air and Darkness down below, but I also have a vlog from her event for this book where I got to meet her and talk to her, and she signed my book and she answered some questions. It was great. So I'll link both of those down below. This book shook me to my core. She went a completely different direction. And for me to say that about my favorite author that I read everything about, I follow her on every type of platform, for her to still be able to throw me and, you know, just like shock me is amazing. Not that I'm surprised by that because she, like I said, is end all be all for me. But this book was so good. If you want to know more about it, I'll link it down below. Like I said, please go read it if you haven't. And I don't know what else to say without literally her having to get a restraining order against me, and I would really hate that. So those are the books that I read in 2018, minus, of course, all the books I had to read for school. I didn't think y'all would be interested in those. Some of them were actual, like, books and not, like, textbooks that I did find a little bit interesting. I read one that was about, like, Disney and Pixar and when they came together that I actually found kind of interesting. But other than that, I really dove into series this year. Series are very comforting to me. I love just being able to dive really deep into a story and into characters that I feel like a standalone doesn't really give you. And so I'll probably continue that in 2019. I'm not going to lie, but I do have a goal to read a little bit more contemporary and just really get out of my comfort zone. Read some standalones, just things like that, because as I get older, the more I do want to kind of push those boundaries, but then also I just have different interests. That kind of scares me because I know that, especially on BookTube and just here probably in the past 10 years, YA is really, really comfortable. But like I said, as I get older, I become less interested in reading about young teenagers. And so I've always been kind of skeptical to do reviews on, you know, romance novels or, you know, just older content like the J.R. Ward books. But I know that there has to be people out there that want to talk about those, because I do. I would love to find somebody that did, you know, good quality fun reviews, and I know that they're out there. I just haven't looked for them. So if you are watching this and you're like, there's people out there, I haven't looked yet, so no shade. I definitely am going to be doing reviews on those. So my next videos will be 1, my travel vlog to Orlando. I went to Universal Studios and Disney. It will be awful, but that's because I just was more about the moment than actually trying to film. So I will get that up as soon as possible. I also will be doing a huge unhaul. And when I say huge, I'm talking about like 20 books plus. So I'm trying to figure out how to format that. But I have realized that I have duplicates of Cassandra Clare's The Dark Artifices series that are all signed. And I've just realized that I think that it's kind of selfish for me, even though I did buy them and things like that, for me to keep those to myself when I know that there's major fans out there that would love to have a signed copy of those books and be able to read those. So in my unhaul video, I will be doing a giveaway, I think. Yes, I will. I'm just trying to figure out, since there's 3 books, if I want to do it all in one video or break it up, things like that. So comment down below. Let me know, 1, how you think I should do that giveaway and what your preferences are. 2, if you read any of these books or what books you enjoyed in 2018, because I'm not about just reading like the latest and greatest. If you read something in 2018 and thought it was great, please, please, please let me know. I'm always here for recommendations, and I want to know what you liked, because I want to like the things that you like, or at least try to. And if I don't, that's fine, but I like to read and I want to know what you read. Okay, that's it for today. I'm going to leave my social media down in the description, just pretty much my Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads, if you want to catch me on those. Oh, obviously, click that subscribe button. I am going to try to upload weekly on Thursdays in this 2019 year. I know I'm a week behind, but give me a chance to catch up. And that'll be it for today, guys. Until next time, guys, don't forget to do what you dig. Bye.